Well, we're alive. That's saying something, I guess. That's about all I can say. The ship, total write-off. Crew, all the colonists, dead. It's me, and me. I was able to do a little bit of work. Let me tell you, this emergency operations manual, it's a piece of shit. I mean, I got enough information out of it to start a few mines and get some resources. I mean, we could build a shed, I guess, but we're not building a ship with it. We're not getting out of here. Really, the only thing I can think of is, I know that with colony plans on the computer, there's probably equipment stored in the ship. So maybe between all of that, if I can somehow figure out how to decode some of it from this busted ass computer, maybe we can build a little bit of stuff, at least enough to survive more than a few days. So I don't know if anybody's going to see this or not, but I figure I'll keep these logs going. Maybe it'll someday help some other poor soul, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I was able to get some coal mining going and some iron and some copper. Get a small power plant running from stuff I was able to cobble together. But that's where we stand. I'm going to continue to try and increase production, and I'm going to fiddle with this computer as best I can. Maybe we can get some stuff out of it. We'll see what happens. Sleeper Ship 6 out.
Well, Control, we've managed to establish a foothold and to start acquiring a few resources. It is by no means going to be enough to do much of anything with. So our next step is going to be increasing our resource output and our processing capabilities. Clearly that's going to take a lot more research and a lot more power than what we have right now. I've been able to work with the computer and rebuild some of the lost files, and I've managed to do a little bit of researching, and we now have belt splitters and underground belts, which should help us to route the resources as we need them. But we can't do this all by hand. We're going to have to work towards some more stuff. I'm going to attempt to gather some more information from the computer. We're going to look into automation in order to maybe start doing some of this stuff in a factory of some sort rather than by hand, because that is just not going to cut it. So we will attempt to gather more information from the keener. Meantime, I've had a look around the area, and we've got a pretty decent amount of resources available to us. We just have to harvest it, which is going to take a lot more than what we've got right now. I've decided that I'm going to establish a production facility of some sort in this area in order to process our raw materials and start stockpiling things for later use. From the looks of the overhead map, it does not appear that there's a whole lot more in the area. We're going to have to do a lot more looking around and and discovery of the area around us. In the meantime, first thing we want to do, I think, is we want to start establishing our resources, and we're definitely going to need more power to do that. So first thing we're going to look at, we're going to need way more mines, and the only way to do that right now, we have no other means to do it, is we're just going to have to build them ourselves. So we're going to start with building a bunch of mines. It looks like one of our biggest resource drains is going to be iron. We're going to need quite a bit of it, so that will be our first order of production, is to get more iron. We're going to need more power poles, so we're going to also look at gathering more power poles. We're going to have to create some sort of a smelting area to smelt all this stuff, because we're going to need a lot more. We're going to need a lot more throughput. So let's see what we can do here. We've apparently been able to retrieve automation from the computer, so that's going to be a big help. We have a few other things available that we can look at trying to retrieve. So far, we've not seen any native life forms. We seem to be relatively safe. I really don't think we need to waste our time on turrets and walls right now. Certainly wouldn't mind having something other than a pistol just in case. So I think we're definitely going to look into it. Maybe not right now. If we do electronics, it's going to open up quite a bit of possible research for us down the road. So I'm kind of leaning in the direction of electronics. We could definitely use some light to be able to work at night. So I think first we're going to work on lights, because we are definitely going to need them. From there, I think we're going to look at upping our firepower just to be on the safe side. We may or may not need it, but it certainly can't hurt. And then I think we're going to look at electronics, and we're going to go from there. So in addition to excuse me, in addition to the research that I've been able to do, I've also managed to locate a few blueprints which may or may not be helpful to us. Definitely a couple that will be helpful to us are some mining blueprints that will allow us to bulk mine much more efficiently. We should be able to get quite a bit of production out of this setup, and then the question becomes, what do we do with it? We're going to have to smelt it, and I think this is going to be a pretty good setup for smelting. It should allow us to expand it infinitely, as much as we need, at least for the foreseeable future. So that'll help us there. I've also been able to find some storage blueprints, so even though we're not necessarily using things right away, it will certainly allow us to store it for future use, because you know, it is better to need or to have and not need than it is to need and not have. And in this situation, I think we're going to need a lot. So I also located the colony plans for one of the colony power plants. It appears to be a fairly expandable setup, and I think we're going to have to take advantage of that with all the mining we're going to have to do. We're certainly going to need the extra power. So that's our start. We are going to have to shut down research if we expand the power plant, and I was able to find some plans for an expandable research facility as well, and bring those in and get those out of the computer. So we're going to be using those as well. The first thing we're going to set up, though, is we're going to work on this mining situation to start getting ourselves far more materials than what we currently have. So in order to do that, we are going to need a lot more iron and a lot more mines. We are going to need underground belts badly in order to maximize our efficiency. So there's that. So let's see if we can locate this thing in such a way that we can get started on it. And since we're going to put our resource production down here, we want to face it this way, and we want to maximize just exactly how much coverage we have. It is expandable and tileable, so it's not going to hurt us to put the blueprints down now. We can always go back later and fill them in. We don't have to fill them in right now. So I think that's going to do it for the moment. I'm going to have to go back through and clean a few things up here where we've kind of overstepped our resources. But that's easy enough to do. Now we know where we've got to put things. Should do us. Alright, so now we can start laying down lines, and it is definitely going to take us a while to do that. So while we are waiting to build up our resources, let's go ahead and let's just bring it all the way down for now. Might as well. Let's cover the whole thing. There we go. We'll go back and pick up what we're not going to use in a little while, but that will cover that whole patch. We're going to need to do the same with our copper and with our stone and our coal as well. However, for right now, I think we have enough copper, so we're not going to get too worried about it. I think we also have enough stone for the moment that we're not going to worry about that. We'll allow the coal to continue to produce because we're going to need it to power the power plant. Now, the problem we're going to have is where these overlap. We have no way to sort those at the present time, and that is going to cause us some serious problems with our production. If we overlap these borders, then we are going to end up with the wrong things in the wrong place, and we don't want that happening. So we're going to have to try and avoid that as best we can in order to minimize any of the mixing of materials. So hopefully we can do that relatively easy. I think that will give us that for now. We will clean these up. Might as well collect any wood because we are going to need it for poles. So let's verify before we put anything down that all we are going to get is the resources that we want, and I think that just does us for that one. So now let's try the same thing for our stone. Now our stone doesn't need to go over into that production area. That's mainly going to be for iron and for copper, but for convenience sake we will, I guess, send it straight up for now, and hopefully that won't interfere too much with anything. So we'll send it right there. And again, we will go back and clean things up here. There we go. Now these are larger poles than what we have available to us, but they will work spacing wise for our poles, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Looks like we are out of power, so refuel our generators. Like I said, that seems like that's going to be one of our major problems, is going to be our coal production. I think I have enough on hand that I can remove that, and we can go ahead and work on getting a harvest going. I think what I'm going to do, because we're going to want to split this in two directions, for the power plant and for any production, I think I'm going to point it downwards, and we'll just wrap it around from there. I'm trying to avoid any overlapping of our resource fields. I think that should work. Oops. Yeah. And that should do us, I think. We shall see. And of course, this is nothing more than the construction plans of where to put the stuff. If it comes to it, we can always just not put something down that is going to be a problem. And we should be able to figure out a way eventually to cross over these edges and take advantage of all of this. Meanwhile, we need a lot more iron, because we are going to need belts galore. We are going to need miners galore. And we are going to need underground belts galore. I think our first priority is going to be coal. So let's put down all of our power poles to begin with. I think that has us covered for poles. Yes, that seems to have us covered for poles. Now we are going to want to start our underground belts. To want to fill these spaces at the beginning here where we need to with just regular belts. Apparently we're going to want an underground there to fit into that. So we're going to need some more of them. This is why we're definitely going to need to expand our iron production. Everything seems to revolve around the iron. Okay, and now we can start filling in. Well, yeah. In that direction. We don't want to trap it to where we can't get in and place belts, so we will wait until we have enough belts. Looks like we're also out of mines, which means we're going to need more iron for that as well. So this coal field is basically going to serve as our initial proof of concept, and it looks like it's going to work pretty good. We'll see once we power it, obviously. And then we'll see how much power it's going to take. I suspect we're quickly going to need to build more power plants. That's kind of obvious. So I think we can power what we have here up and see if this is going to work. We shall see. So we have mines operational. Are they yes, they are producing a fair amount of coal. Much more than that single mine that we had is going to do. That's good. Let's see what we can do here. I think we'll wait on inserters. I think we're going to wait on the rest of this. We don't really have the resources to spend a lot of research points right now. We may need them later. So I think we're going to wait on that. Looks like we have one unpowered drill there. Okay. So I think that is going to give us enough coal to at least get us started. I don't think we need to waste any more resources right this moment on building more mines. Why are you not running? Oh, because that's filled. Like I say, we're going to need to expand our power plant. We're not going to need our laboratory right now, but I think we are going to need to expand our power plant. So we're going to take the lab and take it out of the way, because ultimately we will be making a new lab facility. Let's prepare to expand our power plant. Let's go ahead and build another boiler, and we're going to want 2 steam engines. There we go. Now we have enough for 2. Going to go ahead and take up. Do we have any? We're going to need some elbows to connect this, I do believe. Not quite enough iron. We need 15. We have 11. There we go. That should give us, yes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove our current power plant from the system. That's going to kill our production temporarily, but in the long run, I think it is going to be in our benefit. Let me find our new expandable power plant, and we can, where is our curved pipe? We can now hook this up. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to place it as far away as distance will allow us, so that we have some walking room. And we'll go ahead and set this up. Do we have? We do not have. We may have screwed ourselves, but we're okay. We can deal with it. There we go. And we will put fuel in. That not reach, that did not reach, now it reaches. We're going to need one on the other side. There we go. Now the other thing we need, we're going to need to make some burner inserters for when we bring the coal over, because we're going to automate that so that we don't have to keep feeding it. We're going to need 2 burner inserters, which apparently we already had. I did not realize it. Did not see them down there on the toolbar, was why. That's okay. We will use the other ones later. But what we're going to do is, now that we have coal production coming in, we can bring that up there, and we can automate that. So the first thing we need is our belt schematics to get it down there. So that will get us that far. That's going to hit the pole. We can move the pole. We'll move the pole. Alright, I guess we're going to have to move the pole first. Okay. Now we can put a pole back. There we go. Okay. So let's run this belt. Obviously, these blueprints were made for construction bots and automation, but we don't have that right now. But they will allow us to at least construct by hand as needed. So we are going to need to go straight. From there. And then yep, that's what we're going to need. We're going to need one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. Right? Right. So let us we are out of iron again, or we're out of belts again. So once we get this running, our next goal is to do the same with our iron production. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone to do this for us. All we have is us, and us. So it is going to take us some time to get it to a level where we can deploy bots and make our lives considerably easier. But we will get there. We will find a way back home. It may take us quite some time, but we will get there. There we go. We now have coal to the power plant. Now we just need to do a whole bunch of building up here the same way. And again, we will start with power poles. In order to ensure a complete log, we will also include all of our blueprints and where we acquired them in the notes portion of the log, so that should anyone find this, they will be able to make use of that information. Maybe it will come in handy should something like this ever happen again. That appears to be all of our poles. Now we just need a whole bunch of undergrounds. And I think we're going to do what we did with the coal and get a minimum number started. Over time increase how many there are. So we're going to need a rather large number of mines. So as soon as we can start at least one of those, get that going. There we go. First one. That should allow us to build another find it. Well, worst comes to worst. There is more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. We just need the chest. Oops. Actually, we did not intend for that to be a chest. We intended that for that to be that, and then a chest, didn't we? Well, we'll cheat a little bit. Now we should have double the amount of iron production that we had before. that will get us going. Meanwhile, while we're waiting on that to build up, let's go over here and figure out where it is we're going to put these smelting areas. So, there is our first one. Now the question becomes, do we run them this way, or do we run them up this way? And I think we're going to run them up this way, because then we can bring the coal over and split the coal and run them both. Well, maybe we'll run them this way, because we can run one here, bring the coal up from over here, and then those will be, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to run them this way. Interesting. Okay. So I've noticed something. The belts don't connect. Okay. We can do this and use that to create the proper blueprints. For now, what we will go back and later, and we will get better blueprints made. All right. So let's put in our power. And we are going to need furnaces. 4, 8. It looks like 4, 8, yes. And we are going to need belts, which of course we don't have. To need inserters, both long and short-handled inserters. So need that one for now. We'll leave it. We want to make sure to at least get full sets first, so that will increase our production. Now we're going to need a bunch of belts, because that's all going to have to run over there by belt. Seeing now that at some point we are going to need to produce gears on a very large basis. Alright, now we're going to need to run our coal production up to there. So first thing we're going to need is we're going to need to come off of it with a splitter. Right? Isn't that convenient? Wonder why it's not placing the splitter. Strange. Wonder if it'll do it now. That is very strange that it will not place it on a belt like that, but that's okay. We can place it by hand even though we don't have a splitter. Oh well. And we don't need that. Part of that either. What we need now is for this to come up in a straight line. How far? Quite a ways. At least that far, I would say. There we go. Right? Yeah, that'll work. I think what we're going to end up doing is removing that mine to route to that side. And then we're going to want to run that and that and then that is going to have to be underground from there, and we're going to want to split this. Right? So that'll go up there, that'll go down there, and then we'll go underground there. So we're going to want at least one underground. Then we'll have to go there with it. And then we're going to need a bunch of more belts. Alright, so there we go. We are quickly coming to a point where we will have much more steel production, or iron production, than what we had. a splitter there. We only built one, we're going to need to build two. There we go. Because we're going to need one there. And we're going to need one here. There we go. Now we just need belts and inserters from the looks of it. Belts, lots of belts. We are clearly going to have to produce a whole separate factory for just belts at some point. Oh man, almost there. So close we can taste it. That should give us enough for the coal portion of this. Yes, there we go. Now we have coal flowing up to here. And that should go in here and be inserted into there and then kicked back out. We may want to reverse the flow of these belts into storage. We'll see. We'll probably just put some chests down for now, and go from there. Alright. A few more belts and we should be underway. Is that all of them? Yes, that is all of them. Now we need a few more inserters. One, two, three, four, 5 yellows and 2 reds. Those are 2 reds. How many do we need for each of these? We need 4 or 5, we need 20. And while we're waiting on those, what we should do is we should so close yet so now we should be doing a lot better on our iron needs. That looks like all of them. That is happiness. Now, we just need to do something with all of it. And I believe we have the solution for that. Don't we? Yes, we do, right here. Okay. So now we just need to make a bunch of mines. And a bunch of undergrounds. We'll start with the mines though. Everything that feeds that line, it goes into our production there. I would say at this point we can get rid of this guy. And this, and make sure we fill that hole. We just have to find the right blueprint. There it is. So now right, hard to see with these old eyes. But there it is, I do believe. Yes. There we go. Yep. All right. We are going to need a bunch of undergrounds. How are we doing on electricity? Good. I am glad we upgraded that base, or that power plant. We definitely needed it. Okay. So. eventually we will upgrade all of this to faster belts and faster inserters and what have you when we have the wherewithal to do so. But for now, we will work with what we have. Well, that right there could be a problem. Oh, doesn't seem to affect anything to remove it. Even better. Okay, so I think it's time to put down some more mines. Some more drills. Drill, baby, drill. Okay. That will increase our iron ore significantly, and that will increase our smelting significantly. Which will in turn increase our ability to produce the items we need to increase our smelting and our mining and our all that other stuff. We'll get rid of the ones we don't need. We're going to need a belt there. Oops. We should turn it the right way. Close. I can see we're going to have to increase our ability to move the stuff off of the belt, though, that's for sure. Aha. We don't need one there. few more belts, and we could definitely use a few more mines. There we go. Right, that's those. Now I think we have all of them. We can start from up here and work our way down, because we don't want to trap ourselves in the middle. So we have definitely increased our ability to mine and our ability to smelt. I can see we are going to have to add way more furnaces, and we're going to have to add much more storage. Those are not bad things to have as problems. That's for sure. Oops. If you have to have problems, those are the problems to have. Alright, Control. I would say we are well on our way to acquiring the resources we need. We're going to have to address copper in the same way here shortly. And we are definitely going to have to expand our iron production. Or our iron smelting. But for now, we appear to be good on our mining operations. And I think we will drop these mines, and then that will be that as far as mining. We will address our next issue, which is the fact that we removed our research facility, which means we can at this point no longer acquire more blueprints until such a time as we get that operational again. Now, we have established that we're going to do our raw material processing over here. So, where are we going to do our research? I think temporarily we may put it here, just so that we're not running all over God's country. So let's look at this blueprint for research. We have one of these, and where's the other one? One of these. And what these do is they are tileable. If we take one of those, oops, and we take one of these, we can put that on the ends of this, like so, and we can build that out. And then we can flip this and put it on the other end. And we can do that as many times as we want, and make this as big as we want it. Now, if you look, there are 4 inputs here, and there are 4 inputs here. And if you follow one of these lines, and it'll be easier to follow once we put down the items, these loop in a loop all the way around past all of the labs in reach, and they just keep going back and back and back and round and round and round, and each one of them is a loop. It's a double helix, I believe is the correct term for it, and it allows all of the labs to have access to all of the science. I cannot take credit for this design, and nor would I want to. This is a pretty awesome design. It will be in the list of blueprints. It was created by a developer and content creator named Joe Mama, who I happen to know, side note out of game, that I happen to know from my time in the Army. He and I were stationed together up in Washington State, and he has his own YouTube channel and such, and he's a pretty good guy. So I will put his information in the link at the bottom in order to complete the record. There are some other folks that I have to do some research on where the blueprints came from, and I want to make sure to get them credit as well, and I will do that, and that will go down in the bottom as well. But allow me to go ahead and build out this this research station, just so you guys get to see what it looks like. Just a little out of game stuff here. We're going to need some of these, and I think we're going to need some long arms and some short arms. Now, this design, one of the things that it does not really allow for is beacons. I believe there is a newer version of this that does, but I haven't looked for it. I'm going to have to look for it and see. I think he made a version that does do that, though. I'm kind of curious. Again, I'm still kind of talking out of game here. Regardless of how I do this, I am going to continue to do the mission logs at the beginning of these videos, as if they were mission update logs. But I'm kind of curious to know you guys' thoughts on in-game dialogue, whether you would prefer that I stop being somewhat silly or that I continue to do so. Regardless, like I say, I am going to do the opening mission logs in that same RPG style. I kind of like the idea of it. It's kind of fun. But I'd like to know you guys' thoughts and ideas on preferences for the actual in-game dialogue. So, give me a yell. Let me know what you guys think. What you'd prefer. I definitely would like to know. I definitely appreciate you guys' feedback and comments and all that good stuff. I mean, that's, I'm playing the game regardless, because I happen to like Factorio. I've been playing it for several thousand hours at this point, and I'm going to continue to play it regardless. But I like to share with you guys, so if you guys are interested, let me know. It looks like we've somehow managed to get some copper into all of this. I don't know where that came from. I'm gonna you're the culprit. All right. Well, how did you manage to get a little bit of copper in there? I don't know. I thought I had gotten all of the ones away, but apparently I did not. So let's make sure we didn't get any more copper on those lines. Boy, that stuck out like a sore thumb. Right there. It's weird because it's only right there. I don't see any more. That was strange. Well, I'm glad I caught it. That would have screwed the works up if it had gone on too much longer. Alright. I don't know how many of these we have at this point. But we need 3 more. And we need a bunch of belts. That's 80. Let's see how that does us. And then we need a bunch of inserters. I think we've got all of our red inserters we need. We just need some yellow inserters and a bunch of belts and some labs. Oh, we got 2 more labs right there. Oh, that's because we're making them. Alright, and then we should have 1 more coming. Alright, there it is. That is all of our labs. Now we just need a whole crap ton of belts. Okay. I think, with the exception of the yellow inserters, which are starting to come through now, that we have everything. Now we just need power. Right? Oop, missed one there. Oh, come on. Oh well, we got cross-seed wires. Not gonna lose sleep over it right now. We'll fix the cross-seed wires later. So let's make sure we got power to the whole thing. What do you know? There we go. All right. So just to show you what I mean, I'm gonna take some of this red, and I'm gonna just pick one of these inputs, and I'm gonna drop it on, and you guys can follow it through and see just where it goes. Let's see if we can get a better. So this is an input here. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit on it, and we're gonna drop a little bit of this on here. And it doesn't matter which side of this belt I drop it on, it's gonna feed it to a single side of these inside belts, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna drop it on both sides. Whee! And there it is. Now, if you watch, it comes around, oops, and these labs are going to grab it up, and it's going to come back down and around, and loop back around and take that same route over and over again. And all of these labs will have access to it. You see all 6 of them have it. There we go. So I am going to now finish up working on these mines, as time allows. Having said that, that's where we stand. We now have much better resource production, and we will have even better resource production down here. We have our resources back, our research back, so we can get some more blueprints for our next episode and for our next report. And our power is looking pretty good. So there we go. That is the latest mission log for Sleeper Ship 6. We will contact you again soon, Control. Sleeper Ship 6 out.